Good morning. Welcome to the very first episode of Analika Policy Dialogue. I'm Sarah Hamrani, founder of Analika Policy Institute, an emerging think tank focused on the ideas that shape our future. In this show, we bridge the gap between complex global issues and the on-the-ground action that drives real change. And there are a few issues that gap is more critical or more overlooked than in the global fight for the menstrual equity. So for millions of people around the world, where that gap is more critical, and it's certainly a natural biological process, but it remains a barrier to health, education, and dignity. But that's changing thanks to the work of the amazing advocates around the world. Mainly our guest today, Dr. Bisma Nair, is a public health leader and the founder of the Global Health Connect, an organization dedicated to creating sustainable solution for menstrual health and equity. So her work perfectly embodies our mission at Analika Policy Institute, connecting policy with a practical grassroots impact. So, Dr. Nair, thank you so much for joining us today on our first policy dialogue.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I am really, excited to be here, and thank you so much for, inviting me.
So, I would like to start at the beginning with you. Could you tell the people that will listen to this policy dialogue a bit about your personal journey? What was the spark that led you to focus on the menstrual equity, public health? Tell me.
Thank you. So, Sarah, my background is in pharmacy. I am a pharmacist, by profession, and I did practice for quite some time. But then one day, the clinic I was working, they had to shut it down. So I was, in between transitions, the jobs, and at that time, I never thought that I worked in the, with an NGO and development sector. But fate take you to the place that you were supposed to be, right? So there was a vacancy and I then applied. So and luckily I was very fortunate to work with that organization that was called Heartfile. So that organization founder, Dr. Sania Nishtar, she's actually, my mentor in that sense that she opened the doors of public health for me, because that was the first time when I started working for her, with her, that I have heard about WHO, and then I started learning things. So by then I actually decided that uh okay, I need to pursue my career entirely in public health, because I felt in love with it while working, because it's a very interesting field. You get to know and to work with people from working in policies and grassroots level organization, and get to work on many solutions and innovations, and also you get to know the donor side as well. So my public health journey started from this, and then couple of not couple of years back, but in the pandemic, I taking interest in menstrual equity, because my then colleague, Dr. Jennifer Martin, which is the founder of now Menstrual Rights Global, right? So I get to know, from her and by her passion, that this is something that we have worked on. And to be honest, before that, I haven't like thought about that, because uh, for me and for like many other women, menstrual health is a natural process, right? So we don't really think about, okay, maybe we had faced some taboos and stigmas and hardships back then. But then when I started with the, grassroots level organization called Mawari Justice, I was volunteering for them. And we, get to give sessions in the schools to young girls about menstruation, anatomy, why they bleed, every month and that sort of thing. And especially the myths, stigma, and the safe management of menstrual health.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I realized that there's so much work to do, and not any one organization can do it. And with my expertise and focused on advocacy campaigns and digital solutions, I then realized that okay, I need to start something of my own. So one day when we are having those sessions in the school, I literally had that moment that because the girl asked like question about that why we can't throw the pads in the flush because there are no waste bin available in our public school. And then I told her that because pads are made of plastic. And so if I had a camera at that time, I could capture her expression. So that was the moment I decided to start Global Health Connect, because there's a wide gap of the information here and what's actually going at the top, and what these grassroots level organizations, these communities lack knowledge. That's how we are here.
So that's a real powerful story, which really highlights that it's not just a theoretical issue, it's about real health, real life, and real potential as well. So, for the people who might be new to the term, how can you define like menstrual equity? Because I think many people might just know it, just believing that it's an access to products, but your work show it's so much more than that.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for bringing that. So, basically, menstrual equity is that regardless of where you and me are, regardless of what our status is, which countries we are from, which race we are from, we both have equal rights to manage our menstruation with dignity, right? So, for me, this is a very simple definition of menstrual equity. So, and it doesn't end that, okay, I have access to products. No, I should have access to wash facilities as well. I should have access to clean water, a washing facility, privacy, and then also disposing of the menstrual health waste. And also, this doesn't end with just, the period timeline when you are bleeding, but also any sexual and reproductive health issues and illnesses and treatment management related with your menstruation. And we used to say that okay, that's from minority to menopause, but no, we realized that it's also after menopause too. The care continues. So that's a very simple definition of menstrual equity.
So, all it's about education, infrastructure, and economic opportunities, if we can say the whole ecosystem. So, that's the perfect lead in to your organization's work. So, what is the core mission of Global Health Connect, and what makes your approach to tackling this challenge makes it unique?
So, what we do as Global Health Connect is, Sarah, we started the advocacy design organization who would just take social learnings from the community and incorporate into the advocacy campaigns, right? This is how we started like previous year. And now after 1 year, we realize that it's not just advocacy campaigns. It has to be, as you said, the whole ecosystem. It has to be at the policy level, and it has to be at the program design level too. So now what we have started is yes, our core mission is still, working through advocacy, whether it's physical or in person. But we are also doing our work in that, okay, you are designing a, for example, menstrual education program for let's say the school. Then how you are designing the maybe the program, like the curriculum or
Mhm.
the activities involved in it? Are you making the, environment and climate crisis the part of it? Are you adding wars to it? So, we are just, seeing these kinds of components in advising and giving strategic guidance to the CSOs who are, actually implementing it. So it's just like, as the name suggests, the global health connect. What we do is we take, examples from maybe globally or other countries, and then say that, okay, maybe this is what um uh, many organizations in Kenya are doing the same,
Mhm.
this low resource setting. So what
Yes.
about we implement or can implement and replicate, some bits of here as well? See, so this is how we do it. And also the top below approach as well, that okay, this is something which grassroots level organization, whether in India or Pakistan or Kenya, they are doing. So how about we can have them as a replication or example to apply to the global health programs, especially at the policy.
That's a holistic approach is so necessary. And a big part of that, which we are keen to explore, is the divide between policy and grassroots action. So, from your perspective on the front line, what does that gap exist? And what are the biggest hurdles in turning well intentioned policy into tangible, effective change in a community?
That's actually a very challenging question. Because and actually this is what we are dealing with currently, as you must have heard. Pakistan is currently dealing with the worst floods in past, like I guess 30 to 40 years, especially in parts of Punjab. What happened in 2022, that the organizations who started working on your menstrual health, they started advocating for uh, adding menstrual kits or called dignity kits to the disaster relief packages, right? Because the thing is that the emergency response, as we say, it doesn't like add specifically that mention of menstrual health or dignity care, that sort, but it definitely say that you have to be like the women and gender should be the centered. But then is it the the ground situation? No, it's very different, because I still remember that at that time it was very hard to convince people, and especially men, because they are at the decision making and position holders. So the people who were in charge, it was they were not ready to accept that dignity kids can be part of the emergency response, and it has to be. But now, for back then at that advocacy, now it's very easy. And also it's relates to people very easily, that back then this is how we started, but now people have awareness. They are doing the fundraising. We are doing the fundraising. People are actually donating that uh,
Mhm.
pads and different things, that dignity kits are had to be part of the emergency response, because women and girls, they affect badly by any disaster, whether it's war, conflict, or climate migration, these sorts of things. So this is how, there's a prime example to bridge the gap. The policy is still like missing there. See, there's still no amendments or any change at policy level. But what happened is there actually enough awareness on the ground. The grassroots level organizations are doing it. But that's not enough, because even if you create, awareness and mobilize people on some issue, the major challenge is the funds. So until and unless something is happening at the policy level, you won't get enough funding. So that's why we are so much struggling at this moment, because we're doing fundraiser our own. We are collecting money and kind donations from our family and friends, and we are actually collaborating and partnering with each other. But until when? So and the money runs out eventually. So it's just
Mhm.
like we are hand to mouth, and okay, we have like money for 400 cakes, so just assemble that and send that. Then
Yes.
gather money for other 400, and just send it to the disaster zone.
Mhm.
So I mean, yeah, this is actually the prime example how could policy and grassroots level organization interventions work.
So, believing that the how gets lost after the what is decided, okay, insights. I'd love to make this concrete for our people that will listen later on. Could you share a specific story from your work where you successfully connected the policy level initiative with the direct grassroots actions? And what was the key to making that connection actually work?
So sadly, like in my context, as we don't have a major menstrual health policy
Mm-hmm.
or the overarching the gender policy as well. So it's very hard and challenging to see, okay, how we could have connected into the grassroots. So it's actually reverse for us. For example, there are many school sessions happening for menstrual education, and those are all done by CSOs, right? So now what we have done is with other CSOs working on the menstrual health equity space, we have got together and we are lobbying for to implement a policy where menstrual health is actually part of your school curriculum, right? So
Mm-hmm.
in that case, it's the reverse. At yet, it is not happening in menstrual health space, but recently, a policy has been implemented that they have lowered tax on contraceptives, right? So now, on the basis of that,
Mm-hmm.
we can modify our advocacy campaigns around sexual and reproductive health and role of men. But as far as menstrual equity is concerned, are trying many CSOs are trying in this space for years to actually lobby for the tampon tax, pink tax, but unfortunately is not happening at this stage.
That really show the importance of the local context and community ownership. So in doing this work, you must run into a lot of misconceptions. So what is the most common surprising misconception about menstrual health you encounter, whether it's from policymakers or donors or the public in general?
Yeah, so the striking when I start working in, especially with men, our main focus is also male engagement.
Mm-hmm.
The stark reality was that okay, this is something which is natural. So why we have to work on this? So like this is a very simple like thing, Sarah, that okay, this
Mm-hmm.
is natural. So why we need programs around this, or why we need to engage men, or
Yes.
why we need money for to design a program. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, aren't you women and girls managing it like for years? So why? So the the sheer ignorance of it strike me the the hardest. That okay, if it doesn't mean it's easier if something is happening natural. So this is a very stark reality, and that's why it's um it's very hard and challenging to uh to make sense into it in the face of those kinds of
Mm-hmm.
comments. It gets very heated, especially when you are talking to men,
Mm-hmm.
and for the very same reason, because you are not experiencing it, so it's very hard to understand. But uh I mean, take the word of people who actually experiencing it and listen to us. So that's kind of the and still it still hits hard that okay, how we change people perception behavior around menstruation.
So I believe that it is important to clear those myths up. And speaking of broadening the conversation, this can just be a conversation for and about women. So again, how crucial is to include men and boys in achieving menstrual equity? And what are some effective ways to engage them as allies?
Oh, Sarah, I think so. It is very, very important to include men and boys because they are like half of the population, and also as I said, base many majority of the policymakers, decision makers, the people who have money or funds, they are men, right? So it's very, very important to, educate them and include them in those spaces where menstrual, equity, education, these kinds of conversations are happening. And also on the community and the society level, there's a like now with the young generation, the gap is not as wide, but as far as fathers and brothers and our elderlies are concerned, that's the gap is like very wide because women cannot share their menstrual needs or pains and those sorts of things. Also, as men, as brother, husband, son, friends, colleagues, it's also very important because then it will actually make them aware of their mother, wife, partner, girlfriend, sister, and the woman around them in their life, their needs. So it actually creates the a cycle of empathy. So that's why we started the our period pain simulator challenge because there is one aspect which they often question, right? That uh, like I received that a few days back. We are having a fundraiser in a university, and there was young uh boys present there. So they asked me that it couldn't have been that painful. Like we really doubt that you woman could be like in that pain, and then you are doing all sorts of thing, and the so and luckily I had my period simulator that day with me. So I was like, okay, then, you can just tell by yourself. We can test on you. This is a small challenge we do. If you are up for it, it will be great. And they actually were very curious and also very open about that. Okay, sure, we can, do this. And we did this, and their perception actually changed instantly, like before and after. And they were like, my gosh, like this is what you girls experience like every month, and then you do house chores and you are doing your work and that sort of thing. So for many, so that was like a very win-win point for us, that instead of just telling them or lecturing them that you don't get to question how much pain we get through, we just do it for the intention of creating empathy, not for revenge purposes that we are going through pain so you have to go through pain. No, it's just like think it from, if you are in our shoes, right? That at least you get to experience some kind of reality check that this is what your women in your lives are going through.
I believe that this is such a critical point. Like changing social norms require a collective effort. So now, after talking about all of these challenges, I want to end on forward-looking note. What are the most optimistic about in this space right now? And are there any emerging innovation or shifts in the global conversation that truly give us hope?
Yes, sir, absolutely. So I'm very hopeful in terms of how the community is taking mental health and accepting it and changing, including men and boys. As I said, the new generation of boys and men, they are very open, very curious to know about it, and also the young girls and women as well. They are more open to talking about it, and also having the tough conversation with their employers, the pink tax or the some place which doesn't have the access to menstrual product. And also they are part of very so many volunteer groups as well. They may be part of the fundraiser or doing dignity case practicing and that sort of thing. So I am like really hopeful because this wasn't the case before the pandemic. Like we would hardly even talk about period among ourselves. The one challenge which I see, which is a huge one, the access of funding to the menstrual equity related programs, because everyone comes to the money and also the donor perception, because uh, by halting of USAID funding and any other
Mhm.
big donors, what the first program they shut down was any program related to women and girls, sexual and reproductive health, and trans rights. So
Mhm.
this is why these programs are facing the brunt of these funding cuts. So things are getting hard at those areas, but I'm still hopeful that we'll all keep advocating about menstrual equity in our lives and also in our work. But also we have to work on changing donor perceptions about menstrual equity as well. That's just because it's natural doesn't mean that it would happen on its own, right? There are many girls and women and also people who menstruate who doesn't have access to right information or products just because they are born in another country or they are facing climate crisis or war in a conflict.
So, for someone listening to this, whether they're at home, on their commute, or at work, what is one concrete action they can take to contribute to advancing menstrual equity? Like one.
One, okay, so one, one message which I would give to all people that talking about menstruation as common as possible as they could. That's the only, because things start as that. If you won't keep it as a taboo topic at your home or in your girl circles or even talking about your colleague, so then it won't be a hush hush thing. But as often as you talk about it, it would give actually courage to other people to talk about it.
Such a great suggestion. So, thank you. And finally, Dr. Nair, for our future listeners who want to follow your work and support Global Health Connect, where should they go?
Yeah, so we have an Instagram account. Please do follow our Instagram, which is I am Global Health Connect, and also our website, which is www.ghconnect.co. Please also follow our YouTube channel, and we are also on LinkedIn.
Perfect. So we will put all of those links in the show notes for this episode. So, Dr. Bisma, thank you so much for sharing your time and your incredible expertise with us today. It was truly enlightening. And I would like to say that if this topic resonates with you, please share this episode with one person you think should hear it, believing that it's by spreading conversations like this that we can help break the silence and stigma for. So, thank you so much. Until next time, and think deeply.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you, and kudos to for doing these important conversations.